Bitcoin is coming closer and closer towards an enormous breakout on this massive consolidation pattern we have been discussing on the channel for a very long time. And right now on this video, I need to discuss the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, the most recent Bitcoin surge in price, and I will of course talk about the Bitcoin CME future gaps and many more important charts I need to discuss on today's update video. So without any further ado, don't forget to slap off that like button once again, back above 1,000 likes. That will be absolutely amazing. And with that being said, let me jump straight away in towards the imminent short term. And of course, I want to start off this video with talking about the Bitcoin CME future gap, because currently Bitcoin is indeed pumping over the course of a weekend. And always, once Bitcoin creates big moves over the course of the weekend, it is creating CME future gaps. And just like we did a couple weeks ago, we also created a massive gap around the $63,000. We're once again creating a massive gap here around 68 to 69,000 US dollars. I mean, as it is standing right now, because yes, Bitcoin has not closed the weekend yet. And what I do want to be pointing out is that if I'm looking back at the last few weekends, we've actually seen that Bitcoin create a lot of these CME future gaps. But just like last week, just moments after the weekend ended, we straight away filled up the gap. Here as well, it took us an approximately, 1.5 week before we filled up the gap. But usually it tends to be happening within hours, just like you can see over here and just like you can see over here. So yes, the normal base case scenario is that indeed Bitcoin is most likely going to come back towards its close price, which is sitting around 67.7k. But of course, it doesn't necessarily has to be happening like we know from history, because there's still a CME gap around $9,000, and also we've still got this gap sitting around 63,000 US dollars. So Bitcoin indeed creating a Bitcoin CME futures gap after it saw that breakout of this symmetrical triangle I discussed yesterday exactly on the channel. We saw this symmetrical triangle getting created. I said that the breakout was going to be imminent, and just literally moments after I uploaded the video, Bitcoin started to be breaking out, and afterwards Bitcoin has seen a significant surge towards the upside. And to be very clear, we've pumped over 2.5% towards the upside ever since the breakout got confirmed, and even got retested on this downward sloping resistance line. So things are looking good on Bitcoin. And what is very important to see right now on that 4-hourly time frame is that indeed Bitcoin right now is trading in a massive consolidation phase, and I've discussed this consolidation phase many times before. And of course, I talked about the importance of this very important horizontal level of resistance, which we have right now broken above of, but also about the downward sloping trend here on the top side where we are creating lower highs, and also about the upward sloping trend on the lower side where we're creating higher lows. So Bitcoin is currently in a higher low structure and a lower high structure at the same time. And yeah, like you can see what I'm already drawing, indeed we are just trading in a massive Bitcoin symmetrical triangle. But of course, if you've been following the channel, you already know this pattern has been in creation for quite a while right now, and it could still consolidate in this pattern for quite a long time here. To be exact, this breakout could potentially maybe take another 10 days before it's going to be actually breaking out. So I am not necessarily expecting it has to be happening today or tomorrow, but I am expecting a big move is going to come for Bitcoin. And if you're zooming out, this is one of the most beautiful consolidation phases I've seen in a long time on Bitcoin. And the breakout is going to be quite significant, because if we do break bullish on this breakout pattern, we're going to be having a target around 85,000 US dollars, and the bearish target is standing around 53,000 US dollars. And yes, guys, if you want to be trading any of these moves, make sure to go to the link description of today's video, where you can find a link to Margex. And if you right now sign up an account using this link below, you will get a free 50 US dollars, and you will get an even additional 50 US dollars once you make your first deposit worth $100 or more. And if you want to be benefiting from any of these insane deposit bonuses on Margex, make sure to use that link in the description of today's video. But with that being said, let me continue in the video. But of course, the spot Bitcoin ETF data has already come out from last week, and basically we can see that yeah, last week was actually quite a good week for the spot Bitcoin ETF. And if I'm looking at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which I also discussed yesterday on my X profile and also on my video, I talked about how liquidity was piling up on the top side and how Bitcoin always follows the liquidity, and that was exactly what happened again. Bitcoin took out the liquidity on the top side, sitting around 70,000 US dollars approximately, and boom, afterwards we started to go sideways, or we saw at least at the beginning a first small little correction. So this is very interesting to be seeing, but something even more important is maybe the funding rates. And the funding rates are super important to understand, because whenever funding rates are going to dip negative during a bull run, it is always indicating an historical buying opportunity. And if I'm currently looking at the funding rates, we can see that the funding rates are actually sitting quite low here. And you can see that basically in the beginning of this trend here, the funding rates were becoming like pretty high, sitting around 7%. And right now they're sitting around 1%, which is extremely good in my opinion. And if I'm zooming out here, and what I'm trying to be pointing out here is that once funding rates go low, it is historically speaking always meant a good buying opportunity, because you can see always once the funding rates dip negative or go even towards neutral, so on that 1%, we always see an historical good buying opportunity on the Bitcoin chart. And yes, while we're currently sitting in this exponential rally towards the upside, we have seen that the funding rates have been resetting significantly and actually went neutral and at some stages negative for a little bit here. We are right now seeing that same opportunity occur again, just like we've seen in many times and many occasions before in that previous Bitcoin bull market. So this is definitely maybe an opportunity you should embrace with both hands. So please make sure to take this very seriously. And yes, also a thing you have to take serious is that the Bitcoin halving is happening in 13 days. So maybe it's going to be 12 days, maybe it's going to be 13. So it's going to be happening either on the 19th or on the 20th of April. And it's probably going to be happening somewhere in midnight. We're not quite sure yet until the difficulty adjustment has been there, but basically it's going to be happening almost. And yes guys, once the Bitcoin halving happens, I'm expecting another gigantic pump is going to be happening, because historically speaking, Bitcoin always pumps the most after the halving and not before. And right now we're just a few days out before this halving is going to come. So make sure to prepare yourself accordingly. And you can also see it clearly from off this chart. Every single time once there is a halving, we tend to see a pre-halving rally, which we have seen this time around as well. But always we see that Bitcoin goes the most exponential after the halving and not before the halving. So I still think that the majority of the gains are still yet to come. And I don't believe that this is the time to be necessarily fooling yourself with standing on the sidelines. And I mean, Bitcoin is just doing something very similar compared to 2020. It is consolidating below all-time highs, and just moments before, we are most likely going to be having that significant continuation towards even newer all-time highs. So I am bullish on Bitcoin. I will be looking at this symmetrical triangle to see what the next big breakout is going to be for Bitcoin. I do believe that the chance is extremely likely that we're going to be breaking upwards, since we have been trading in an upward sloping trend, and a symmetrical triangle is a typical continuation pattern, so I don't see the reason why we can't continue upwards from off this point. So this was it from me in today's update video. If you did enjoy the content, don't forget to slap on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.